Since the start of the year, I've been keeping a notebook specifically for my pole dance training sessions. It's been a really useful tool to help me track progress, figure out what moves I'm neglecting, and to understand patterns. So I thought today it would be fun for us to go through the notebook together and see what I'm writing down and why. The notebook lives on my cluttered little corner shelf next to my pole tricks book and speaker/microphone. A friend gave it to me because they thought it looked kind of like the bug in Fish Log from Animal Crossing. Isn't that adorable? Here's a quick glance through. Now let's break down what I put on each page. At the top, I write the date. I think that one is self-explanatory, but it's also surprisingly useful because I can see, for example, at the very start of the year, I was doing pole every 2 days as I collected footage for my "When is the ideal time to pole dance" video. I also know I was complaining about being really sore and run down at that time, so maybe that's too often to pole dance. Next is training time. Like I mentioned in that video, my ideal training time is around 9 in the morning, but if I were to write down that I trained at like 1 p.m. and had the best pole session of my life, that might make me reconsider some things. It's also really useful to see how long the pole session was. Here's one that only lasted from 8:45 a.m. to 9:05 a.m., and I put a frowny face there. I know this was a session I bailed on pretty early because I got pissed off and that was becoming dangerous. I must confess that I often forget to write my ending time down, so I don't actually have that much data on how long my sessions last, but I'm trying to train for close to an hour at a time now, and this is a good way to see if I'm hitting that goal or not. Next is training type. Am I doing conditioning or tricks? Is the pole on static or spin? This way I can see, haven't done static in like 2 weeks. Oh, what's that over there? Next is outfit. And this isn't because I'm the most fashionable pole dancer you've ever seen and I'm obsessed with what I'm wearing. I can also note whether or not a particular article of clothing is helpful or hindering my training session. On January 4th, I noted that I wore my cute new Culprit lady boxers, which are basically boxer briefs, and although they looked nice, I noted in my feeling section, which we'll get to later, boxers were slippery. I remember trying to do some splitty moves that require some crotch hold and just sliding on down, and this notebook allows me to directly connect that with the boxers, so maybe I shouldn't wear them again if I'm trying that kind of trick. Or here's a frowny face, big fan of those, next to green GF bra. That's my Girlfriend Collective crossback bralette thing, because I know my boobs just like to spring out the sides of that top like uninvited party guests, and sometimes if I'm doing a lot of inverted tricks, it just becomes a real hassle. Next, we have music. As I'm sure you know, a playlist can make or break a pole session. I mostly just use this to note how often I've listened to something, like if I have a few iffy sessions in a row, all with the same playlist, maybe it's time to switch it up for something fresh. I also confess that I often listen to video game soundtracks if I'm really trying to figure out a new move, because lyrical music distracts me while I'm saying things out loud to myself, like right foot here, inside arm reach, etc., etc. So yes, I am frequently getting absolutely down to the gentle stirrings of the Verdant Turf Town theme from Pokemon Sapphire. Next up is grip aids. Did I need to use an absolute metric shit ton of ITAC? Was I doing conditioning and therefore trying not to use a grip aid at all, and was I successful? I'm 1000% not one of those people who thinks using grip is cheating. Please slather yourself in grip if it helps you. However, if I wrote down that I needed ITAC and dry hands and it still didn't help, like on March 4th where I wrote dry hands sucks and hands equal wet, ITAC equals ripping skin off, maybe I need to assess what's really going on and adjust my grip aids accordingly. The next line is filmed. It will probably not surprise you that I film myself while pole dancing. Look, I'm literally doing it right now! And I often have a lot of projects going on at once, so I might film something and then wonder what happened to the clip. Sometimes it's obvious. Here on March 16th under filmed, I wrote yes for Avatar video, and I mean, it's hard to look at the clips of me dressed as Avatar The Last Airbender characters and wonder what that was for. But I might get footage for multiple videos in one day, such as on February 28th, where I wrote yes for redacted, upcoming project, and answering your cues, where I needed some B-roll to play so you had something to look at while I answered your poll questions. I also note when I film for Instagram, just sort of to help me keep in mind how long it's been since I posted anything there and what it was. We are now at the two most important lines in the pole notebook. The first is worked on. This is where I track all the moves that I'm working on, how many times I try them, whether I'm successful, and if I was following a tutorial or something. I cannot recommend this enough. It's super difficult to remember every single trick you've tried over the course of weeks and months, which means you might easily forget about one you really like and how to get into it, or you might lose your forward momentum with a trick you intend to train over and over. There are so many pole tricks, and you are not stupid or forgetful for forgetting which of the 100 ways to get upside down you trained last week. Let's peek at a few of these entries. January 23rd was a conditioning day. I wrote down tucks 10 each times 2, one arm spin 2 each times 2. By February 13th, I was doing 3 one-arm spins on each side times 2, which means I progressed, but I would never remember that if I hadn't written it down. On April 24th, I wrote down apprentice, got it, but I know damn and well I haven't been able to get into it since. But I know that day I had the pull-on spin, I was wearing small underwear, and using ITAC and dry hands, so if I want to give the apprentice another good go, I might try to recreate those conditions. On March 28th, I noted Mercury, right side got it. Now listen, I could do Mercury just fine about 6 months ago, and then I forgot about it entirely, and now only my right side can do it. And that's why you always leave a note. I also wrote Eros ? Thigh hold ? Outside leg hang turn ? Victory first try, bitch! It is important to celebrate your victories. Not all worked on entries are so useful and pleasant. Let's flip through some classic entries from a frustrated Kelsey. January 8th, worked on like nothing, LMAO. January 26th, worked on Superman and exits that, all caps, don't work. March 10th, worked on Extended Genie and Side Saddle Superman, parentheses, frowny face, vortex, parentheses, angry frowny face, can't invert, LMAO. If I ever find myself writing LOL or LMAO in my pole notebook, I know I am generally seconds away from a nuclear level meltdown. April 3rd, which has the words rage quit at the top of the page, worked on hands only climb, getting worse, vortex, using Poltato Gems tutorial, no luck, but don't worry, I eventually got it, don't worry, caterpillar, using Pull with Aaron's tutorial, no, underlined. Why is my inverted crucifix getting worse? On April 13th, apparently I worked on Lil Combos IDK, sorry that isn't helpful. Just as important as tracking which moves you're trying and whether or not you were successful is tracking how you were feeling. And if you thought I had already clearly expressed my feelings with these screaming capital letters and frowny faces, let me just tell you that we've barely opened that Pandora's box of emotion. That January 8th training session that involved like nothing LMAO has this under the feelings line. Full, sore, tired, headachy, skin hurts from picking it, diva cup about to overflow. Well, it's no wonder I trained like nothing, LMAO, because I had recently eaten dinner and I was worried that the suction on my menstrual cup was about to release and dump blood all over me as I worked out. So these feelings let me know that training at that time of day with those conditions is awful for me. On January 21st, the very first training session in which I attempted the routine from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I wrote, feeling bad, not flexible enough, frustrated to the point of tears, then guilty for posting about it, then bad for deleting the post. What a rough time. Yes, sometimes I'll post stories on Instagram basically yelling about how hard pole is, but then I feel like I'm just bringing the vibe down, so I delete them in a panic. Rough indeed. February 8th's feelings entry was the start of a pretty upsetting saga. I wrote, left tricep very upset. February 11th had muscle seizing, particularly triceps and right calf, which then carried over to February 13th. Triceps are the problem. Literally, I have to stop everything because they hurt so much. I had just started a new strength training regimen, and clearly I didn't know how to balance tricep exercises with all the work I was already doing with pull. Seeing all of those listed in sequence like that helped me realize my issue way sooner than if I'd just let my body be in random, unaccounted for pain. Let's look at the roughest entries, because although this pole notebook is a net positive for my training, sometimes it feels really bad to do pole training, and I think it's important to mention that. February 16th. Depressed, anxious, brain equals sad and bad. Just ate a snack, so a little like I want to puke. Also, my fucking triceps still hurt. Gave up early because this fucking sucks. Dude, why do I do this sport? Depression wins this round. That day with can't invert LMAO, March 10th, has fucking pissed off, I'll tell you that much for free. I didn't even want to do this today, and I keep getting interrupted by laundry and shit, and it's going exactly as you'd think. Quit early because fuck this. On April 27th, I wrote, sore, not strong, which is annoying. Hello, have I ever pole danced before? A big fat no on all accounts. I wish I could tell you that collecting the most negative entries gave me a sudden flash of clarity, like, all those were at the same time each month, that means I shouldn't try to pole dance on the 10th, or I wore the same outfit each time, that means that outfit is cursed. But really, it's just useful to be honest with myself, to write down not only when I succeed, but the times I genuinely wonder why I even started this painful sport. It makes victory all the sweeter, I think. And then the final section is Other, where I'll put down any random notes that didn't fit into the other categories. For example, I'll mark down when I wipe the pole mat and change my microfiber cloth out for a fresh one. Don't be grossed out, I'm the only one who uses this pole. I'll note if I'm on my period, which can sometimes explain a lack of strength or endurance. I'll note when I charge my speaker/microphone. I'll note if I had to stop to drink a protein shake during the session because I felt really shaky. This category is just useful stuff to know. And that's it. Those are my entries into my pole journal so far this year. I highly, highly recommend that you do this. Plus, having everything in a physical journal means I won't accidentally delete my note on my phone or something. I can't wait to look back at the end of the year and see how many times I trained, or to find all the frowny faces for moves that I ended up mastering. Please God, let me master some of these moves. Let me know if you start a pole journal for yourself. See you soon. Bye! The subscribe button appears on the right. A suggested video and playlist appear on the left.